So, episode, I think 2, I lost count. Episode 2 of Artists on Art. My name is Elijah Jefferson, creator and host, and I am with...
Karen Arana.
Oh, you said that with such strength. That was good. Let's begin the interview. Okay, so first things first, tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Karen Arana, and I am 19 years old. This is my 3rd year here at CSULA. I've been majoring in theater arts and dance, but with an option in theater. I'm really excited for this year here at CSULA because it's like a semester system. So it's like now we have more time, and I'm finding that that's a little bit better for myself because of the classes that I take for the theater department. There's classes that I need to take more time for myself in developing a character or really going in depth with a scene or a monologue, and the 15 weeks, the extra 5 weeks that we have now, it's really helpful, I've noticed. And so I'm excited for this, this semester. And also because I got cast for Latina, for this fall production.
Nice. Congrats.
I know. Thank you. I got a role as the Maid in Black, and I'm really excited because we don't really have a lot of Hispanic-based productions here at CSULA, and so this really means a lot to me in a personal level. I think it really represents my family in terms of like how my parents came here to the United States as immigrants, and being able to represent these immigrant Latina women in this production is something that really fulfills me in many ways, because it really means a lot. So that's why I'm excited for this year. And that's me right now at the current moment.
Tell me a bit about yourself. Well, let me give you my entire life.
Kind of.
Thank you for that. I think I can cross a couple of these questions off the list now. Okay, so you're saying you like CSULA.
I do.
How's it been? How's it been the past couple of years?
At first, I was getting a lot of, my sister started telling me, why didn't you apply to a UC? You had the GPA, as she was, applying, because she just started college. She's going to ELAC. But she was asking me, why didn't you just apply to a UC? And the truth is, I wasn't really aware of college or anything. I really, as being the first in my family to actually attend college, that was kind of a rough, I'm doing everything first type of thing. I'd never really had somebody to look up to. And so that kind of was a little challenging, and I didn't apply to a UC for that reason, because I was a little bit scared. I didn't really know how to proceed with it. And so I came to CSULA, and I really feel comfortable here. I thought, well, it's really close to my house. It's 2 miles away. I take the bus. And I think it's great, because I know parking here is terrible, and
I guess lesser of two evils. Bus or parking.
And so I just get here and I just walk. I don't have to worry about parking or anything, and so that's very beneficial. What was the question?
How do you like CSULA?
Right. So I think that's one of the benefits of it.
Okay.
That I live really close. I don't have to commute like other people who are 2 hours away. I like CSULA's team. We have a lot of professionals. I didn't really realize, especially in the theater department, and their professionalism in teaching the classes has really gotten me more into taking things more serious. It's not like a high school theater or a high school dance team or whatever. And so I think because of that, I really enjoy being here with the whole staff and faculty, and I'm enjoying it.
Great. Okay, so you mentioned that you're the first in your family to come to college. Where's your family from, by any chance?
My parents are from Guadalajara, Jalisco.
Okay. It's
from a town in San Gaspar.
Okay. Is that where you were born?
I was not born there.
Okay.
Only my older brother was born there, but I was born here. So I'm from here in East LA, Boyle Heights. And my parents...
Are they proud of you being the first in your family?
My dad is so proud of me, I feel.
That's great.
Yeah, he really he tells my sister, oh, like your sister. In fact, my sister kind of gets a little bit annoyed because of how my dad is like, oh, well, you're like the favorite, you're like the prodigy or whatever. Well, at least in the family, because obviously not. But in my family, yeah, they really, well, my dad is really like, yeah, woo. And my mom, she's excited too because like my brother didn't go to college. So that leaves me as the first one going to college. Okay. So
describe your childhood a little bit. What was it like growing up with your big family, small family?
It's 5 of us. My 2 parents, my older brother, my younger sister, and I am the middle child.
Oh, I understand that. I'm a middle child as well.
Interesting. My childhood was fun. We all, well, my siblings and I, my older brother, my younger sister, and myself, we played a lot. And I think that's an advantage of having siblings as compared to being an only child. So I think in that aspect, being able to play with my siblings was fun.
Did you watch a lot of movies and television growing up?
I watched what my parents watch.
What did your parents watch?
So my mom would watch novelas, and my dad would watch action movies that were on Channel 46 or 52, Telefutura, and they were mostly action movies. I just remember like Jackie Chan or like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I can't really say his name, but
no one can.
Yeah, him. And so, or some like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I remember watching Rocky a little bit. And yeah, it was mostly action movies or like Alien versus Predator. But yeah, action movies.
That's an interesting childhood. Then.
Yeah, so that's the type of like movies I would watch, or novelas, you know.
Novelas. Did you like them?
I did. Well, like my first language was Spanish, so novelas was kind of something I could relate to and kind of keep in touch with my Spanish speaking, you know, because in school it's just English. And so novelas were great. Like, and I realize now that they're just kind of like overdone, over dramatic or things like that. But when I was smaller, I didn't really like notice those type of things. And the truth is, I liked it. And I still kind of do, regardless.
They are fun to watch.
Yeah, they are.
So acting, you've said earlier, is your artistic medium of choice, the one you're most passionate about, or at least the one you do the most. Why this medium and not, say, music or drawing? Why this artistic form?
You know, choosing this artistic form, acting, stage acting and film acting, was a tough one because I actually used to play instruments when I was in elementary school and then moved on to middle school playing drums. I was in a marching band and I was percussion. I also played congas, and then eventually in high school I moved on to dance, and which is something that I started when I was young in terms of like when I would go to my best friend's parties, like we would always be dancing, like, you know, reggaeton and like some hip hop. It's something that I grew up with, you know, because of where I live in Boyle Heights. And so after that, as I went to high school, I did dance, like I was saying, and then, but it was like cultural dances and like some hip hop, and I really liked the movement, and I would perform at pep rallies. I even got to perform at Disneyland with the dance team that I was part of, and I really enjoyed performing and really kind of giving my all and showing my face and my facial expressions. And I took after that I took a theater class my senior year, and I really liked how I could not only through movement but actually speaking words and really getting into a character. It really felt like there was more, and I think that's why I chose theater, because I mean it was a tough decision because I couldn't as a theater arts and dance major I had to choose an option whether it was theater or dance, and I chose theater, and because I couldn't minor in dance they wouldn't let me. And I know I'm happy with my choice because so far I've learned so much of it, and I still take dance classes, but I really found like a lot of things about myself that I didn't really know about myself, like my personal, like how to deal with my personal experiences, whether good or bad, and how to channel it into my performance in acting.
So it's not a coincidence that you fell in love with dancing and acting, which both heavily involve the body and physical movement. That's You love that.
I just really love that. I love performing and just being on stage and really like giving my all, and you know, like especially like, well, I just took a dance class right now, so I guess like in the dance class it's just we have mirrors and we're always looking at ourselves and everything, and just kind of like we just follow our eyes until the last moment. It's not just like, okay, I'm done and bye. It's kind of like you do it until the end, until like even if you're behind the curtain, you're still doing it and you're still enjoying it. And I think that's something that I really love, because it's like it's something that I love for myself. It doesn't even feel like I have to do it. It's because I want to do it. So I think for me that's why I really enjoy performing, and now it's dance or, you know, acting.
Do you think that was influenced by the novellas you watched growing up? Because, you know, soap operas in general are known for being over-exaggerated with their physical and emotional movements that they do, you know, through their body language or through their vocals. Do you think, like, you love soap operas? Do you think, is that just a coincidence too? Or do you think because of what you grew up watching, it sort of led you into the path of physical movement through dance, and which is over-exaggerated as well when you think about it?
You know, I think it might be a little bit of both, because of how, like with my mom, like she would put music, because before it's not like we used to be so much in television or like iPhones, like in how it is today. And so I think it was always like we would be dancing and getting into like the groove of things. And so I think part of that was influenced by like what you said, the soap operas, and like kind of how I grew up with my mom and I dancing, and then with my best friend. And I think it was like a combination of both, but I think really I kind of already had some of it, because like my sister grew up with the same thing, and she doesn't like performing.
True.
So I think it really has to do with like you as a person, and also like how you grew up and how you continued it, because, you know, had I not wanted to continue performing, then, you know, I just wouldn't. But I would still have that background of my mom and I watching soap operas and things like that. But I think it really has to do with both. It's a combination of the two, and I really like it.
That's really awesome. I'm not going to cut it because I think I have an interesting piece to say in terms of like, that's why I really love art, because it's not just like, again, two people can have same backgrounds, same parents, same role models, and still end up completely different, you know?
Yeah.
And art is so beautiful in the fact that like you were saying, it's a mixture of all these different elements, like you being raised through soap operas, your mom loving music, you deciding yourself to pursue it, like all these beautiful factors coming in to create you. Yeah. And that through the unique you that is you create unique art.
That sounds so nice.
It sounds
like just the way you put it.
Oh, it sounded gross when I said it, but
no, it actually, like, I could picture it in my head, and it really makes sense a lot, you know.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it too.
Art is awesome.
I'm getting so excited.
I'm
just
glad.
Thinking about it, you know, the art of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What music are you currently listening to right now?
I've been listening to like pop, and then I like rock, like classic rock, like Guns N' Roses or
Aerosmith?
Not so much. I haven't really gotten too much into depth, but it was more... Oh my god, yes. I don't know why I did not know about Aerosmith. But yeah, like, okay. You know what? I just kind of put on the radio and I just listen to it. Like, I don't really go into like downloading or things like that. I just kind of like whatever comes first type of thing. And I realized that I don't really like listening to the same songs every single time repeatedly, just because there's so much music out there that it's like... I mean, I could totally get into one specifically, but I really like just kind of listening to a variety, so I just usually put the radio more so.
But you enjoy dancing to hip-hop the most?
I do. Well, you know, it varies. It's so weird. Like, I like salsa, like Ricky Martin music, so, like, when I'm at the house, I usually, like, dance to that. However, like, I enjoy hip hop, the movement, not more so like the music as much as I do with like other type of music.
Okay, so hip hop has like a vibe to it that you connect with a lot.
Yes.
Like the energy, the upbeat tempos
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot.
But it's not like something that I listen to it a lot, which, you know, through movement, you could really, like, either, you could pace yourself, really.
Mm-hmm.
You could go slow with it, or really fast, or really, like, you could just pop, or whatever. And so I think that also, it could be interchangeable with the music.
Whose work now do you relate to the most? Are there any other artists, current or past, that inspire you or that you try to emulate in your own work, by any chance? Like any dancers or any other actors that you relate to?
Well, I'm going to go based on the soap operas that I've watched when I was younger, because that's kind of a little bit fresh right now. I'm thinking about Susana Gonzalez and Fernanda Colunga, because they have done novelas that really, like, they have really made me feel it. When they get into emotional scenes, I'm totally with them. I'm like, oh my God, I feel you. Like, I know what you're going through. Like, I believe you. Because, you know, there's some acting that I've seen and it doesn't really look like it's really true or honest.
Genuine.
Yeah, genuine. And I think, you know, the actors that I really like, you know, that I remember and that I really enjoy are those that actually made me go with them through their whole process of emotion. And so, yeah, those are some of the people that I really, like, have seen that, you know, really do a great job in that aspect of making me feel their feelings. And they made a current novela which is called Pasión y Poder, and they're both in it, and it was great. I was watching it. I was there with my mom watching it. And yeah. That's
great. No, because I also come from a background in theater, and you did it, but theater is where I learned what genuine is, you know, because it's all like Broadway musicals to me are 100% supposed to be pure emotion. You know, it's all supposed to be as heartfelt as you possibly can get. Mm-hmm. And so I love a lot of I don't know soap opera actors as well, but I do see that sort of just like they're in it, you know? Mm-hmm. Broadway or stage actors are in it, you know?
Yeah.
A lot more than like, I don't know, I guess any generic TV show where you can sort of feel the forcedness or the fakeness of it. Whereas being on stage, being live, and, you know, being over-exaggerated with it, I guess is a better word.
Because, you know, yeah. I think you were saying that you're coming from a background of theater. However, I'm not. And so I have had this question, like, you know, asked to me in my classes or my friends or such. And it's kind of hard to say because I'm very new to theater. And so even, like, reading plays and being part of them is kind of new to me in general. So I guess it's just a learning process that I'm going to have to learn to, like, get more used to, and also just catch up, because all my other peers they already know so much of, like, oh, this play, oh, that play, this musical, this, that. And I'm just like, oh, great, this is great. I don't know it, but I will in the future know it. Because, I'm getting into this, and I really enjoy it. So it's new to me, but I'm really enjoying it. So I'm going to get more into that reading process.
I can feel your enthusiasm, so I'm glad you're getting into it. Oh, there's so many good plays out there.
Oh yeah. So many.
It's great. Do you enjoy to collaborate more, or do you prefer to work alone?
I like to work alone.
Yeah? Why so?
Like, for acting, there's so much things that, if I were to work with somebody else, I don't think I would be as open or as experimental as I can be if I work alone, which is why I like to work alone, because there's a lot of personalizing that goes into playing a character. And so you become that character, you become that person, but you have to go through a process of, like, finding what that character is and how you can connect to that character. And so I have realized that I need the time to really think about my personal life, my personal experiences, and really connect that to the character. And so when I work alone, I could go in depth with it, and it could get really tough sometimes, because when you go back to your life and really remember things that aren't even as pleasant, then it could be really tough. And I think being alone and being able to just release everything that I have is great. And I think, I mean, I've also worked for some of my classes. I've had to do some of the, like, you know, some of the we do like exercises, and so I've actually been able to, you know, be completely open into my life with the rest of my class, and I have been able to control it because I've had that support from my staff, which is why I'm saying, you know, like, the staff and faculty here are great. They know how to help me, like, guide me into reaching into my personal life and still be okay.
What do you expect of others in a team environment? In any team environment, through either your dancing team or on stage working with actors and directors, what do you expect of them? Do you have high standards? Do you like a more creative environment, or do you like a serious? What do you like going in, I guess I could say?
I like a creative environment because of the fact that everybody is like more into it. I feel like they start inputting their own ideas. And I know there's like some boundaries, of course, where you just don't really get to do that. But at least for myself, I really like to like put my ideas and, oh, how about this? How about that? Like just finding different ways to get to one thing, like to the main goal. And I think when everybody's relaxed and just really, you know, free to do what they believe is the best approach, then I feel like that's the best work, in my point of view.
This is going to get a little abstract. Where do you see yourself in a team environment? And by that I mean, what character role do you think you fill?
I would have to say, I think I fall into like a goofball, sort of. I do a lot of physical movement, and I think that has to do with how, like, my background. And so I just kind of like doing things and just experimenting until I find something that feels right. And I think that's why I would be a goofball.
Do you think you're very spontaneous when you're on set or on stage? Do you find yourself to be very, like, just trying things, being experimental with it, as you say?
Yeah, I actually do. I just like doing things like, oh, how about this? But just kind of doing it, just going with the flow of, like, what I find to be my instant reaction.
What's being on stage like in front of a live audience?
It's scary. It's a little...
Yeah.
It's a little nerve-wracking at first, but then once you're out there and you're getting all the energy, which is what I like, by the way. I really like that from theater as compared to, like, film, where, you know, in theater, like, I really get the response of the audience. I feel their energy when they laugh at, like, something funny or just any movement, and I really get their energy, and I really go, and I, like, bounce back to them in terms of, like, the same energy, and it's kind of going back and forth, and you really read those signs, and you kind of just, sometimes you do things differently on stage. Like, if I do something today, I might do something else differently tomorrow with the same exact scene. So I think that's, like, what makes it cool and fun, you know, just kind of doing what feels right based on the audience and the energy feedback.
Okay. Awesome.
We are legends every day. That's what she told me.
Ready?
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1.
All right.
What is creativity to you? Well, take your time.
That's a good question.
I know it is.
Ooh.
It's a question I can't even really answer in a sentence.
All right, I'm going to try and break it down.
Break it down. Break it down, girl.
All right. Creativity. Create. So I would like to say that it's, you create something, but it has to be organic and original. It can't be something, obviously, that is already made. It has to be your own. It has to represent who you are, in this case, as a performer, as an actor. And I think, wow, that's a great question. Creativity.
Well, let me ask you a question to get you, maybe get your gears moving. You said it has to be something wholly original. What if, for example, I create something that I pour all my, you know, heart and soul into, and it's a part of me. However, it just happened to exist before. Like, someone else did almost the exact same thing, and I didn't know about it. Is that still creativity to you? Is that still me expressing my art form, or would you say not as much because it's already been out there? It's not unique.
I think it still would be like your own creation because it's yours and it's something that you feel. The other person before you just happened to be feeling the same thing that you did. It doesn't take away from what you are as a person and like how you're trying to portray your creativity to the world. And I think that's what's great about it. Like, you could always expand more into that. Like, whatever you have created, you could always like go further than that and just keep building onto it. And if you don't like it, you could just throw it away and start over. But I think that's like what's cool about it, that you just get to do and create like always. You know, it's like a never ending, you know, thing that's going on.
So as long as it's organic and personal to you, that's where you think the most important things about creativity are?
Yes, I do.
I'm just repeating what you said.
Yeah. It's just you're making me really think about this.
Yeah, that's the point.
Because I mean, obviously, I'm trying to relate it to my own personal experiences, because it's also, I mean, it would totally be different for you. For me, I mean, I think it has to do for myself in terms of like how I would experiment things on stage or during rehearsal and everything. It's part of my creativity, and I really think it has to do with like my personal life, how I connect my experiences into my characterization, my personalization. And I think that's the creative part of it, to create something that, you know, is still me. Because, you know, if we were to be playing a role and we were both having to play that role, we'll be playing it completely different. But I think that also has to do because of our lifestyle, like our experiences and how we can relate and react to it. And I think that's part of why creativity comes along, because you're creating it yourself. It's personal, it's yours. And I think that's why it's organic and original and it's awesome. I like it. I like that creativity. It's a good question.
Okay. It was a good answer.
Thank you.
What is acting to you? Because I did to clarify this one a little bit more, because one person I know said that acting was the easiest job, and I said, "What do you mean?" Because, you know, I come from an acting. I have to defend it. I said, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Oh, it's just reading a bunch of lines." And I was like, "No, you know." And then we got into a little discussion about it. But it's interesting how, like, when you think about it, surface level, on paper, acting is just reading lines and trying to say it with emotion. But there's more to it than that. You're putting, you know, something organic and personal into it. So if you could sum that up, what is it to you? What defines acting to you? Question 2.
Wow.
Question. It gets easier from here. I just like to start with those big hard balls.
I think acting ties into creativity.
Of course.
A lot. You kind of have to be creative, I feel like. I wouldn't see it any other way, but that's just my point of view right now. I think you kind of have to be creative when acting. It's I don't consider it to be a super easy job. It's for me, it's a happy job. I get to know a lot about myself, and I feel like it's also a healing process for me, because as I learn more about myself and trying to personalize into a character, then I realized, like, wow, I had all of this in me and I didn't know about it. Now how do I, like, help myself deal with this? Because it can get pretty serious sometimes. And so acting to me would be, you're just being yourself in a variety of ways.
I understand. Don't give me that look.
I know. It's just I'm trying to make sense for myself, because I'm literally finding this to be my first go at it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with that. But go ahead with the follow-up question. If maybe we could. Yeah, I think so.
My follow-up is, I'm gonna try to sum it up in your words, because I'm notorious for doing that. Regardless of what the role is or what you're acting for, there's something personal that you have to attach to this role to make it your own, in a sense. And because of that, the role, whatever it is. It could be a maid in the 80s. It could be a serial killer in the future, set in the future, whatever the role is, even if you're completely unrelated to it in any way, because of this personal extension that you're giving to it, it's a part of you now. And you have to discover the ways how you guys link together, and that brings out a lot in a person. And to you, it sounds like that's a therapeutic process, a healing process in a way, because you're discovering more about yourself. Is that all true?
Yes, this is all true.
Oh, okay. Is there any
You are correct. Yes.
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 A on the test.
Yeah, but you just mentioned something that's interesting. The whole, like, if I were to be playing a serial killer, I can't view it as, oh, I'm a bad person. I have to view it as, like, if I were doing the role as a serial killer, I would have to be doing, just having the mentality that everything that I'm doing as this role is correct. That I'm correct in every aspect of the situation, and that everybody else is wrong because, well, of course it would depend on the situation, but it would just mean that, whatever I do it for a reason, or, because I really believe in it, or I say the things I say based on the situation, but I really have to be that person and not be like, oh, but, I'm kind of bad too, I really have to think in my head that I'm doing the right thing at all moments.
That, a famous actor would agree with you. I'm going to say his name wrong. Benicio Del Toro. He said in an interview that acting to him is just believing what you're doing. And he mentioned that the latest movie Sicario, he plays a killer. He plays a trained killer who has a very dark and troubled past. And when asked about how did he prepare for the role, it was just a matter of believing that his character's decisions were something that he would do. And it was just portraying that genuinely. Yeah. So you're on the right path.
He really put that so simply.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. But at the same time, at the same time, I'm just thinking about this because you're asking.
True.
Because I really don't think about these things. Not that I wouldn't, but I just don't really sit down and think about it.
It's not every day someone asks you too, so you don't first time expressing it.
Yeah, this is great. I like this.
I'm glad.
It's healing for me.
So that was question 2. Okay, it gets a bit easier. Do you heavily critique your own work, or do you like to maintain a distance with what you create? And I guess you sort of already answered it because art has to be a personal extension of yourself. But I'm wondering, for example, if you ever look back on what you've done and try to recreate it or re-examine it, or would you say that acting and dance is more in the moment and then you try to move on to the next thing? Is that a better question? I think that's a better question.
I think for myself, I like to critique it because even for instance, let me just give my example.
Please.
I auditioned for the fall production Latina, and I had callbacks, and then I got my role, and I just kept thinking, okay, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? Would this have changed my, the decision of the director to choose me for the specific role that I got? I just had to really think about, maybe because there's a lot of body language that I've learned throughout my years here at CSULA. And, I think it's all like my whole body really speaks for itself. And I think I was just really critiquing everything that I was doing. Okay, I did this, I did that. So how could this have affected the way they gave me the role? And so I think I critique myself a lot in that aspect. And I think it could also be like, for like if I were to be doing, for any acting, when I've been on stage, it's kind of, you leave it there. You do your thing, you do what you feel in that moment, and then you just leave it at the same time. It's kind of a little bit of both, I would say.
Okay. Dude, being both an actress and a model, do you ever find it hard to not be self-aware or to heavily self-evaluate your own performance?
I think that once you've really rehearsed your piece, there's always like a way to be in that moment. Whether, if I'm if you and I were to be doing like a scene and we're going back and forth, we're having a dialogue, I think that like based on my rehearsals, like it would be different when we're on stage, because maybe our energies would be different based on the audience feedback and everything. So I think in the moment it would probably change. So I think for me it's kind of just being in that moment. But I think the rehearsal process really allows me to give myself the opportunity of trying multiple ways, so that if I just do it one way all the time, if I'm rehearsing it one way, then like when you catch me by surprise, or if I drop a line or whatever, it's gonna catch me by surprise to a point where I might just not know how to manipulate it to go back on track. But if I think it really has to do with the rehearsal process, you know, with how I actually get to interact and be in the moment. And I think even when, like you were saying, like modeling, you also kind of have to be in the moment and really just improvise. And I think that has a lot to do with, you know, acting. You really have to be able to improvise and always be in the moment and be ready for anything that changes for whatever reason.
Okay, so so for the rehearsal process, a lot of self-evaluation is required. But you say when you get to the performance, what's going to happen is going to happen. You just have to try your best and keep up, sort of thing?
Yes, I actually believe in that, because it will be different on stage.
Of course.
You know, there's like any issue can happen where, you know, somebody starts crying and a baby starts crying or whatever, and now I have to raise my voice. There's like alternate. I mean, there's
all the examples.
I mean,
a crying baby. What comes to mind?
I mean, that really did come up to mind. But I mean,
oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. There's, I mean, I can't really think of one right now, but just kind of like any other situation can happen where I would just have to change, you know, whatever I rehearsed, you know, prior to the performance. And I think it's always just being accessible and creative and just being open-minded at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a bigger question. What are some of your biggest challenges that artists similar to you face in today's era? For example, as a woman, or as a minority, or as an up-and-coming actor/actress, etc.
That's a good question, and I like this question because it's something that is occurring, like you said, in my era. First of all, as a minority, as a woman of color, even the auditions prior, like my prior 2 years.
The last question, and if you notice any audio changes, it's because we're in a completely different building, in a different room. Well, that's implied. We're in a different building. We're in a different room, obviously. We're on the 5th floor, trying to get away from as many people as we can, and we're in a small little corridor. So, welcome back to Artists on Art. So what are some of the biggest challenges that artists similar to you have to face today? To resume where we left off.
It would have to be just breaking through all the stereotypes. It's kind of hard as a Chicana, I guess I would say, and a woman of color, being a woman, to really break through, because I can't just, it's kind of tough to say sometimes, because if I go to an audition, I can't just look all like Hispanic. Not that I can't, it's just, you know, I kind of have to look more, so like if I could play other roles, as compared, like, you know, I feel like that's a challenge, and I think that goes part of with like just practicing, going to auditions and things like that, and really knowing how to just kind of look, you know, just stripped down with nothing to, you know, with no labels, I guess.
And so you feel like in some ways your identity is holding you back in that sense, because...
Yeah, like I totally would love to be like me in every way possible, but sometimes I feel like, okay, well, let me think about this. Is this the best, like, you know, way to go dressed to an audition without being labeled, or, you know, what are my options? And just kind of learning how to be prepared for an audition, I think, is really important, because, you know, after the audition they see how you look, I mean, regardless, they will label you. You know, you have like the appearance of a goofball, or like a goofy girl, or like a mom, or it could vary really. And so I think that's something that I have to learn to break through.
What are some other things that surprised you about the theater that you weren't prepared for when you were first joining, or even now?
First off, I was surprised by how much everybody else knew. Everybody else who was coming from a background of theater, and here I was like a newbie, not knowing anything, and then they started talking about certain plays, or they would start singing songs from a musical, and I was like, oh my god, like it made me feel like I didn't fit in, and it made me kind of doubt a little bit, like, oh my god, am I in the right field? But then I thought about it, well, how do I feel, and what do I want? Is this acting, is it really something that I enjoy, and is it something that I want to keep pursuing? And when I stopped thinking about what everybody else knows and feels, then I was really able to really want it, because of how it made me feel as a person. Because like I was saying earlier, it's like a therapeutical process. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's healing for me, and I think that's all I really need. It's as long as it's what I want and not what everybody else wants or what everybody knows, then I'm cool with it. I'm happy with it. Well, I'm glad I stayed.
So I guess you would say the culture was just the biggest thing, and that took you a while to get into that comfort zone.
Yeah, the culture, everybody. But I just kind of have to get along with with what everybody else knows, mm-hmm. while still being myself. Like, I'm not gonna push it, or if I don't like it, I just don't like it.
Yeah. Or be fake.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fake it. Yeah.
No one wants to fake it. How big does confidence play a factor in either being a model or an actress? Actually, this is good. This is a good tie-in. Do you believe that you can fake it till you make it, or do you believe you have to either have it or you don't?
I heard this TED Talk where it says, "Fake it till you become it."
I think I know what you're saying.
And I think, just go at it, even if you're doing it wrong. Just go with it. Go with the flow. Go with what you feel, and until you become it, because I believe you can. Anybody really can. You just kind of have to go at it at different angles. If it doesn't work one way, try it another way, and until you become it, because anything's possible. And if you really, but you have to give it your all. You can't just be like, oh, well, until I become it, but I'm just giving like 50%. Like, you have to give 100%, 110%, or whatever, You just you have to give it your all, really.
So, are there any particular, I think I already know the answer to this one. Are there any particular themes or messages that stand out to you whenever you read a script, read a book, join a photo shoot, etc.? What are some messages that really resonate with you, that you like to be a part of, or that you enjoy?
I feel like I've been repeating this all along.
Yes, please repeat it.
Honestly, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's gonna be, that's another thing. Like, I felt like the culture was something that was kind of like getting at me, because of like, oh, I kind of have to do it like how they're doing it. I have to play this particular role the same way that they're doing this role. And so I think that was blocking my creativity, and based on how I am as a person. And so I thought, I'm just gonna be how I want to be, because there's gonna be other people out there who are exactly like me, maybe not, but who may be thinking similar things as me. And I think that I represent those people, and that's just like a different point of view. And we're not all the same, we're all different, and I think that's beautiful, that we're all just unique, and we can resonate with other people in like a variety of ways, and I think that's great.
And I think the answer is the be yourself kind of stories, where confidence changes a person, or they discover their true self and whatnot.
to have the little guy. I like the always like the one that they're bullying and then like that little guy.
So underdog stories.
Yes. See, I couldn't think of the word, but there you
Underdog
go.
Stories. You like those stories.
I kind of do.
Do
I
view
think I'm realizing.
view yourself as an underdog?
Maybe. You know, I think I'm really thinking about this as we're doing this interview. And I think this is kind of helpful for me just because it's like I'm really thinking about things that I don't think I've thought about before. So this is all kind of new and I like it. I'm liking this.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay. What is your standard for evaluating yourself? Like, do you hold yourself up to a high standard, or are you constantly happy with a lot of what you do?
I think I put myself at, I evaluate myself at a higher standard.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense, or maybe I'm explaining it wrong, but I guess.
Are you hard on yourself?
I would say yes. You are the hardest person on yourself.
True. Yeah.
Which is true because you know what you are capable of doing, and I think that's why, yes, I am hard on myself because I want to be better.
Okay.
A better self.
Yeah.
Not really better for, others, because at the end of the day, it's all about myself. In the least selfish way,
Yeah.
I have to do it for myself.
Okay.
Last question on your views. What potential do you think actors and other artists have to change the world?
One of my directors once said that performance and, any play performance is a catalyst for discussion. And I believe that to be true because there are many, like, political, economical, social, racial issues that are presented in plays that really keep people thinking. Like, oh my God, this is true, and like, oh my God, I do that, and that totally looks bad. And I think it really brings people to realize things for themselves. It keeps them thinking, or maybe they could be disturbed. But then you get to ask, why? Why am I feeling disturbed? Why is this affecting me? Why am I crying? Why, And I think that's something powerful because you get to realize things for yourself. And I think that's a great way to change, people's viewpoints and also helping them be more aware of, issues that exist. And I think that's why it's, it's good for people to be more aware of these things because there are many problems like climate change and things, which is something I'm getting into in one of my classes. That is a real issue and it has to be more out there, but it's not as much as I feel like it should be. And so I think that through performance and there's multiple methods, but in this case, performance is also a very good way to keep people more aware and, give them a thing to talk about and think about for themselves.
Damn, that was a good answer.
Thanks.
Heart beating, 'cause you make me feel like I'm alive again.
The audio sounds different, viewers. It's because we're in a different room. Same building. We just went to a completely different part of it now.
That's part of being creative, though.
Part of being creative. We're creative right now. And I pulled out the lavalier mic. So we're trying our best over here. All right. So now we're on the process. These are pretty practical questions, so they should be pretty easy. The process, take one. Oh, that was a good echo.
That was.
What parts of acting do you enjoy the most? Actually, I won't even say acting. What parts of dancing, modeling, acting do you enjoy the most?
I really like the rehearsal process, or just the process overall, because you get to experiment in multiple ways, and maybe you end up liking something that you didn't really think about in the beginning, but then you end up liking it because you just tried it and you're like, oh my God, this is so great, like, and let me just do this. And I think that's the process that I like.
Do you dislike any parts?
I would have to say no.
Ah, there has to be one.
Oh,
Does it? I mean, if you really enjoy all of it, that's great.
I kind of do.
Okay.
I can't think of something right now that I dislike.
Okay. That's fair enough. You're thinking though.
I'm thinking though.
That's fair enough.
Maybe we could go back to it, but
Come back.
for now, yeah.
What do you think is your biggest weakness as an actress or performer? I should start saying performer. What do you think is your biggest weakness as a performer? Whether it's on set, working with others, your particular style, etc.
My weakness?
Yeah. Do you have?
Well, I was an assistant stage manager once, but I feel like at all times you're performing. Like, how we were saying life is a stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to do with that because, at all moments you're performing, and I think
How's that a weakness? Being a manager.
well, no, that's actually, I was getting to that actually.
Oh wow.
No, I was thinking about it. But when I was an assistant stage manager, I was too, I guess I would say nice. I don't know if that's the right word, but just kind of like, somebody would ask me, can you charge my phone? And I was like, oh, sure. Although that's not really supposed to be my job, but I would do it anyways. And I feel like that takes away from the authority I should be having. Not that I should be like, I'm your boss, you follow what I say or whatever, but it's just kind of like to keep a good pace and to keep a good environment where there's some type of like leadership. There should be some, something where you have to, like, there has to be a line.
Okay.
Where you can't just.
So you feel like sometimes you're a doormat.
Yeah. I like how you just kind of like,
It's my job.
I know, it's so good. But yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. I could be sometimes a doormat. And I think maybe that also applies to like when I rehearse as a performer. I find that, maybe that's one of my weaknesses. Now that, I thought about it, I think that would be one of my weaknesses.
Okay, good. It's self-reflective time, baby.
Yeah, oh my goodness, this is great.
So maybe I hope that after this you would be thinking of all this stuff and,
Oh God, yeah, I totally will be.
Okay, good. Describe your creative process. What gets you to the zone?
I think I would have to go back to like working alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, sometimes I put music beforehand, like just kind of get my juices flowing, and then just kind of really start digging into like the what, why, how, where type of questions, and really go into depth of like, in the character, or if not, when I'm performing as a dancer, then it would just be kind of like really committing to the movement, to the language and everything.
What are some important things to look for when you're reading for a role?
Who is this person and why are they saying what they're saying? It's always about the moment before. Like what happened, prior to my line. Why am I saying this to this person? And so that's like the whole, evaluation of really getting into the person, the character, and being it.
Are there any tips you can give to others who want to enter theater or the performing life?
A couple of tips would be to fully commit physically and mentally, because I don't think it's just like, you just speak the words. It's also your body language, which has a lot to do with performing. And so fully commit, be organic, let it come naturally, experiment, try different things, and if you like it, keep doing it. If not, then that's up to you. You get to decide, but you gotta love it. Be in the moment, yeah. I think that's one.
What could you say to people who have a hard time living in the moment, or who don't have as strong of a confidence as you do? What could you say to them to help them get to that stage, that moment?
Relax. Breathe. Like, oh my God, breathing is so important. Like, you have no idea. Like, when you inhale and you exhale, when you exhale, you release your muscles. Your muscles relax, and that's a good way to, you know, to relax. And I think that's a really important thing. So once you relax, you just get in the moment, whatever gets your juices flowing, because everybody's different. So, you know, for me, it's like just kind of moving or dancing just a little bit, just getting, you know, blood flowing, and just relax, own it, you know, just feel fierce, you know. I don't know. For me, that works.
If we've only got this life, this adventure that if we've only got.
Where do you see yourself on future projects?
I would like to do things that are fun and accessible while trying to send an important message, because most of the audiences are attracted to things that are like comedic or just something that isn't like super educational, which is like our era, you know. It's something that's a reality, and I think going towards something that is fun is something that I feel can, you know, really get to the audience while still trying to inform people, like something that I was saying earlier, like climate change and things like that. I think that's a good approach, I would say, you know, to get to the people.
Okay. What's your dream project? Or dream role?
You know, I like being the evil person. I find myself attracted to it, just kind of like, oh my God, you're such a bitch. But like, I want people to hate me, because if they hate me, that means I'm doing a good job.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, you're so evil, but that makes you cool. I don't know. It's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. Just be the evil person, especially in like, you know, telenovelas. They're great. I like it. I'm attracted to it.
Okay. What current big performers would you love to work with? Actors, dancers, models.
I kind of want to work with Benicio Del Toro, because you just mentioned him, and
Yeah.
he's kind of great.
He is great. He's a very intense kind of guy.
Yeah, he seems so.
I'll send you some interviews.
Yeah,
He was in
you
two
should.
really good
You
interviews.
should totally send me some interviews.
send you
He sounds cool. Like, the fact that, you know, I thought something that he said in an interview makes me, like, you know, into it. I've probably seen like 1 or 2 movies of his, but I should totally watch more.
Is there anyone else similar to Del Toro that you would like to meet with or work with?
I don't know. Not out of the top of my head, just right now. You see, I kind of think about it in the moment. I don't really have a lot of people in mind, like, oh, I want to do this. I don't know. It's kind
You're
of
just
weird.
sort of so open. It's just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
because I'm not like super into. I found that, you know, I'm not really into, like, I'm not in it for the money, nor am I in it for like, oh, I want to do this role with so and so. It's kind of like, I want to just do me and find what I like.
It's fine.
Like, find what I like, and then if there happens to be someone that I can relate to or who can relate to me, then I would totally love to work with them. But not necessarily a celebrity, because there's many people, like my peers, I would totally love to work with many peers, and I could name them. But celebrity-wise, it's not something that I'm like super into, you know? It's, yeah. At least not yet.
I'm the opposite. I'm all about
Celebrities.
celebrity. That Will Smith. Like,
Oh my God.
The day I work with him is the day I can quit.
That's funny. He's a great actor.
Yeah. After all is said and done, and all of your goals are accomplished later in life, so think super far ahead, where you feel satisfied, what do you hope your legacy will be? How do you want people to remember you by? If you even want them to remember you by.
I mean, I think if they remember me, that's great. If they don't, it's also great. You know, I'm doing it for myself at the end of the day, and I feel like I would like people to remember me more so as an inspiration for themselves, because I don't think it's selfish to say that you do it for yourself, because at the end of the day, you should be doing whatever you want, and I feel like people should remember me just as a symbol to remind themselves that they could be whatever they want as long as they are doing what they love. Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Thanks.
I'm gonna cut it. The end. What's your favorite word? Is that-
Freedom.
Wow, freedom.
Yeah. I mean, it probably isn't. I think it's just because I've been like blabbering about all of this. I'm just feeling like this freedom feeling of like after we were talking about creativity and
I like it.
and you know and just being yourself and all this stuff. I think right now for this occasion it would be freedom.
I respect that.
Thank you.
Hashtag respect. What's your least favorite word?
I don't know.
The faces you're giving.
Oh,
just
God.
To think of this. It's great.
This is, oh my God, you have such great questions that keep me thinking a lot.
It could be the definition you don't like. It could be the way the word sounds. A lot of people don't like the word moist.
I like the word moist.
Really?
I like how it sounds like, st, you know? You get to pronounce it really good. You know, I was doing an exercise where I had to do a monologue and I was having trouble with it. So my professor was helping me out and she had to ask me like, what word do I hate? And I said nigger. I hate that word because it's because of like all the background.
Yeah.
Although I do use that word, like, but I'm just playing like I tell my brother like, what up nigga, like, you know, things like that, but just kidding.
You're not trying to put an evil connotation on it.
Yeah, and so, but regardless, you know, I do hate that word because of the meaning or, you know, the background, the historical background that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I just kind of get too mad. So I would say I hate that word.
Okay.
Yeah.
What word is it again? Say it loud.
Nigger.
Say it with the hard R.
No, I don't want to say it.
What makes you happy?
Being outdoors. I love just going out and seeing, like, also, like, I like going to LAX. Just kind of seeing, like the different types of people that, like, I never thought I would see with my own eyes. Like, you know, you just see them, like, in, maybe in, like, movies or, you know, in TV and the news or whatever, but just physically seeing them and seeing their like way of dressing and just their way of being, I find that like amazing.
So people watching?
Yeah, but just, I mean, but I guess in general it would be like just going out. I like the outdoors, mostly like, you know, where it's green and there's a lot of trees and grass and I could just lay down like that. But you know, also just being outdoors in general.
What doesn't make you happy?
Being bored at home. Like when I haven't showered and I'm just home, but like I want to go out, but I'm just too lazy to take a shower.
Yeah, and you feel disgusting.
And I just feel gross.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to look at myself in the mirror type of thing. Yeah, that's what I don't like.
Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise? I always do this thing like while I blink and then just kind of point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I do that. Sometimes.
That's so unique. I love that. What sound or noise do you hate?
Like a scary sound. It would just have to be like like in the movies, you know how they have all this like.
Oh, like
Yeah, I hate that. Like, I hate those scary movie sounds.
Okay.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Okay. Those are some unique answers. Favorite curse word?
Fuck. Dude, you could use it in so many ways.
I love the way you said it. Fuck.
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 Or you could just be pissed like fuck, or just like you just want to fuck, or like it could be used in so many ways. And I love that word. It, like in the cuss word, world or whatever.
Yeah, in the cuss word. What profession, other than performing and modeling and dancing and acting and all that, would you like to attempt if you could not be a performer?
Dun dun dun. Let's see. I would like sell houses.
Real estate?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think because like you still get to interact with people, and I think it comes along with like.
There's a lot of jobs where you can interact with people that isn't selling houses. I'm not judging you. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, I like convincing people. I like to debate too. Like I like to find like a contradicting idea and just kind of like battle it. And it also has to do with like, having siblings, because I kind of grew up like that, just kind of fighting or whatever. So I guess like trying to convince people and like making my way into their minds and, getting people to actually purchase a place or whatever. Like that's always kind of
such a big decision too.
Yeah, and I like this whole manipulating, I'm getting into your brain type of thing.
Jesus.
In like the least, weird way.
No
of
wonder
course.
why you want to play evil.
I know. I kind of like. I like that. It's fun.
What profession would you not like to do? That you think you'd either be terrible at, or it just sounds terrible?
I would not like to clean houses, because I've done it before. Because my mom, she cleans houses as well. She's a secretary, and then she cleans houses, and I did that for one summer because I wanted to go to Mexico, so I had to like work to get money, and that was the quickest like job to get. And so I would go with my mom, and I would be on my knees just cleaning, like and like or bent down or carrying things or going up on ladders and cleaning, and it's really a lot of labor work, and it's really tiring. And I can only imagine how tough it could be for those women. And I feel like, I've gotten so many, I feel like I've gained more respect for those type of people. Like I see janitors working, and I say, hi, good morning. Because I feel like, they might even be underappreciated sometimes. Mm-hmm. And the question was?
What profession would you not like to?
Oh yeah, I've done it before, but it's not something that I would love to do,
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You made it. I don't know.
That's great.
Like I made it. I survived for so long because I'm planning to live until like I'm 150 years old.
Of course. So what if he was like, fuck, nigga, you made it?
That would be better. Probably not the nigga, but ma, you made it. Because I'm probably going to be a mom, I don't even know. That'd be crazy. But yeah, something like that. Something within that range.
Where it's good news.
Of course, with a high five followed right after. Kind of, all right. Yeah, there you go.
You
yeah.
made it?
Yeah. That'd be great.
Okay. Well, this concludes this week's monthly episode of Artists on Art. My name is Elijah Jefferson.
My name is Karen Arana.
And
That's great. Thanks.
yeah, no problem.
Benicio, did you have conversations with the director of Sicario about the violence that they were going to show?
Well, yeah, no. I knew that Denis was very elegant with his violence in a very elegant way. But the thing of the matter is, like, whether you play a character that you agree with, or not, do you understand the character?
Absolutely.
So I understand that character, the character in Sicario. I understand it. Do I agree with him? At the end of the day, no. And that's part of acting. I need to understand
Absolutely.
the character. I don't need to agree with him. And if you are in a good team with a good director and good and actors that you respect, then I will highly consider that film.